a lot of parents have understood that fencing can be great for college recruitment. So that's been a big driver of like adoption of fencing in the United States is, the top Ivy League schools, right? Harvard, Princeton, Columbia have like fantastic fencing teams. And so there's definitely a driver there is to get into college. And then you have other great programs like Notre Dame, Stanford, right? All fantastic schools. So that is definitely, I think, a big factor. Um, and I would say also, fencing has gotten more popular through just some people in the sport have gotten into like fashion and things like that and kind of have pushed the sport a little bit more into the mainstream.
Why do you think that it isn't more popular?
I would say there is a bit of a barrier to entry. Fencing is an expensive sport. Um, Getting started, you have your equipment fees, you have coaching fees. Fencing has also always kind of had this reputation of being this elite sport, right? You think of kind of the preppy, elite sport. And I think it's trying to kind of shed that image. There's a lot of organizations in this country that are like non-profit organizations that are trying to bring fencing to communities that otherwise wouldn't have had access to fencing. Myself, included, my parents couldn't afford to pay for fencing for me. And so I got by a lot, coaches identified my talent pretty early on. And so they kind of helped invest in me.
Is this a sport where a woman can beat a man?
Yeah. And so I would say in foil fencing, the men, right, they're faster and stronger. There's kind of no way of getting around that. But what's great about fencing, when we were talking about kind of the different body types that can excel, there are always counter actions to every action, and somebody's strength can always be, there's always something that you can do to overcome that strength. So I've beaten many men in my training. I would say if I was fencing, let's say at a World Cup at an international event in the men's event, it would be very difficult because of just the strength and the speed component. But I do think women are more technical. And I think I can beat a decent amount of men, I would say. And I think I'm also a very physical fencer. I'm very tall. And so that physicality and aggressiveness, I think, benefits me. And so when I do encounter a man who is very strong and fast, I can kind of go head to head with him a bit. But there's also a limit to that as well.
Um, but somebody who goes in one discipline, can they transfer over to another one, or is it like, no, 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 you're good at this one, and you are gonna not transfer over to this one?
Yeah, so at this stage in my career, I would never be fencing FA or saber. They're very different. Now, a lot of people or kids when they start off fencing, they start in foil. And foil, you build a really strong technical foundation, and then from there, sometimes you may move into FA or may move into saber. So I think foil is a great foundational weapon because you just learn the technique really well, and just kind of the basics of fencing. And then you can kind of branch out if you want for the other weapons. Again, FA, like some things that coaches look for when they kind of move their students into different weapons is for FA fencer, they may choose someone who's really, really tall. Being very, very tall in FA, right? FA, you can hit anywhere in the body. The timing is a little bit different. And so being tall is more advantageous in FA. In saber, you kind of sometimes look for somebody who has a lot of like passion and strength and is very emotional. Saber fencing is very emotional, I think. And so there's certain attributes that coaches will look for depending on, and then they'll place them into another weapon if they don't stay in foil.